Welcome, fans, to a special edition of the Great North Wrestling Podcast. My name is Jack Kilby, Executive Vice President of Great North Wrestling. And today we are pleased to welcome a man who is a territorial legend, speaking particularly in terms of Portland, Jim Crockett Promotions, and a significant tenure in Quebec, in Japan. I almost said Quebec for some reason, but Japan.
Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico. We'll get into all of it. A man who has left his own mark on his own right, but is also very famous for being one half of the Sawyer brother tag teams with Buzz. That being Brett Wayne Sawyer. Brett, thank you so much for coming on tonight.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
How are you keeping since our last interview in the fall?
Oh, much better. Can't complain a lot. Don't do no help anyway, so just keep moving.
That's the key. If you're moving, you never slow down, as they say. Now, in addition to taking questions live, I did receive a number of questions on social media that I think we'll start with. If you have anything to add, feel free to do so. Just deviate. It's a very relaxed program here on the Great North Wrestling Podcast.
Yeah, that's my kind of program.
Right on, man. Okay, so one of the most asked questions is the one involving your tag team with Buzz, and how did that tag team come about? And do you have any favorite moments with him in the ring specifically?
Oh yeah. I basically with the Road Warriors, I mean, the people loved Road Warriors over like $1 million. And being Buzz was a heel and I turned him babyface and we milked that for a long time. And just going to the Omni, a sellout crowd, I mean, it's something you never dream of, but it happened. And many times, and I mean, the Road Warriors, they were some awesome workers. I mean, when they got there, Ole Anderson put Buzz, Matt Bourne, and me in there helping them train. And I mean, everything came out great besides the 3 deaths.
Absolutely.
Yeah, couldn't have been better.
Since you mentioned Ole Anderson, he's a topic of a lot of debate online. What was your experience with Ole?
Be honest with you, I mean, Moley gave me one hell of a push. I mean, I couldn't say nothing bad about him because he came up with the Brett Wayne. Then he came up with the angle, or he okayed it. Buzz was pretty much booking then because I was coming back and forth from Portland. And I mean, I got nothing. He gave me a hell of a push. I mean, and my brother. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ole was a businessman. Ole, he was all about making money, and he didn't like no bullshit. And he wanted people to kayfabe. Where nowadays, ain't much kayfabing going on. It's sad but true. Hopefully, it gets better.
Well,
that's what I got to say.
We shall see with that. Hopefully, but unlikely. Danny McLeod wants to know if there are any stories that you have involving Bruiser Brody.
Well, yeah, I was a little late. It's sad. Him and Buzz were real good friends, and I didn't know him real good, but my brother and him were real good friends. And Brody everybody liked him, and he was he's a big guy too, boy. I want to tell you, and a great worker. I mean, he was. I think he was phenomenal. He was a big man. He moved great. He was a star for sure, and he was a legend. He died over in Puerto Rico. I just started going there. It was sad because the guy Jose over there, him and some other guy I don't know, because he had 25% of the business, and they made him do a job, and then they tried to take his 25%. Before I knew anything, I just left Tony Atlas about 2 weeks ago. And he was telling me the whole story about it, how he seen everything. And I mean, it was sad as hell. How Brody, they stabbed him twice with the knife and they just let him die right there. I mean, he went to the hospital and stuff, but they had people going to I mean, they was trying to kill Tony Atlas too over in Puerto Rico. And most baby faces, when you go to Puerto Rico, you turn heel. I mean, I did. Everybody did. I'm pretty sure. But me and Junkyard Dog snuck out at 4:00 in the morning just because they wanted us to pay taxes on their effing money. Japan give you 80 grand, don't want you to pay taxes. How are you going to go over there and get paid and pay taxes in Puerto Rico? And Junkyard Dog was like, Brett, we got to get the hell out of here. I was like, I'm with you. And we scooted to the airport.
Yeah, very, very rough territory. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Doing my best.
It's probably different nowadays, but today, I don't know. I ain't been there in a lot of years, but yeah, some bad memories, that's for sure. And it was all about Brody. Mm-hmm. It was sad.
Doing my best wants to know, he says, hey, Brett, what are your thoughts on Mark Calloway, a.k.a. The Undertaker, Mean Mark?
Boy, okay, I don't want to get too wound up, but all I got to say is he's somebody went to a wrestling school, was a liar, and didn't show up for like 6 weeks and wondered why he couldn't come in no more. Well, that's why. Undertaker, you can take his story, my story. Man, he was up Buzz his ass so much it was pathetic. And he thought he could get away with murder, and he did, basically. I mean, but he ain't nothing but a liar. I'd love to see him one-on-one. Talk about a dead person. I hope he's got better things to do than talk about somebody dead. He can go, man, I don't want to be rude. That irks my ass.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, go ask Tom Pritchett how many stories he's heard people come back to his wrestling school and complain about this and complain about that. And he's a hell of a work. Me and Tom Pritchett were partners in Portland, Oregon. He was one of my best partners for sure. No doubt about it. And yeah, we was pretty tight in the day, that's for sure. Well, but it is what it is. You talk about the dead, you ain't going to ever get a real answer. You're talking about people's loved ones. And really, I've lost pretty much my whole family. So,
yeah, Buzz
shit like that burns my ass
to defend himself. So you have a point there.
Yeah.
Mike D is asking your thoughts on John Tenta, the earthquake.
John, I didn't know him too good. I don't got nothing bad to say about him. He was a decent worker, and I was a young kid. Everybody it was a hard mountain to climb when you was like 5-10 years younger than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? So like I was talking to Tommy Rich a couple weeks ago, and he just came back, and he's doing good for Tommy. I mean, Tommy's just got to show up, man, and he makes money out the yin. He's over like $1 million. He knows how to the crowd loves him. They remember him and Buck. We did an hour interview after we got done working an angle in the ring. We did an hour interview for Moose. He's a manager and a promoter, super, super guy. I mean, you ain't going to find a promoter as nice as him, period. I mean, I dealt with promoters, the 80s, 90s, 2000. I mean, they're all different. You take Ole Anderson and Roddy Piper. That's day and night right there. But two great bookers. I mean, and Piper, when I went to Oregon, he got over like $1 million because Piper did what he wanted to do. And, he did an interview one night. I'll never forget it. He said he said, I'll die at 61. By God, he died at 61. That's crazy, but it happened. And he did the interview probably a year earlier. When Flair came to town, he sold the house out, but it wasn't jam packed. When Piper came back to Portland, he sold out better than Flair did. I can tell you that. And I love Flair. Don't get me wrong. But Piper was over his hometown. Boy, Oregon loved his ass. And they showed it too. It was a good feeling.
Yeah, excellent question from Eric Robbins here. He's asking, how did Eddie Gilbert react to you kicking out of his finisher, the hot shot in a 2 count, And importantly, he says the ladies working at Tudor's Biscuit World are asking about you, Brett. There you go.
The ladies working at Biscuit World are asking about me. Well, they're all nice people. I don't got. I mean, they're great. You know, I go there occasionally. I used to go all the time. Then I just started going 2 or 3 days a month. You know what I'm saying? But just trying to get back in shape and make a little comeback before I die. Nah, I'm just, I miss the business. You know, I was in there 42 years off and on a little bit. And there's a lot of people I know. And I'm hoping to get back over in Japan and Puerto Rico and do a year or two run and then retire.
Good, man. What about the Eddie Gilbert question about you kicking out of the
The
hot
Eddie
shot?
Gilbert question. You know, me and Eddie were so close. We worked everything out, and we that angle. You know, Eddie came up with it, and all those guys, and they paid him. I mean, Bill Watts loved it. Everybody loved it, and Eddie's just a smart guy, and he knows how to sell, and he knows when to put somebody over. You know, I mean. He's all about money just like everybody else. And Eddie he should have been a booker, and I'm sure he was in some places, but I mean, he was a super guy, smart. You had to listen to people. You know, I learned that at a young age, but I still probably got a little problem with it. But you do have to listen to people because you don't know everything. And sometimes you think you do, but you don't. So you just got to move on and think wise.
Todd Alexander wants to know, he says, seems like Dusty Rhodes really liked you putting you over in Atlanta. How was your relationship with Big Dust?
Big Dust. Well, I'll tell you what. Me and Dick Slater trained Dustin. And when we trained Dustin, Dusty didn't want him in the business because he was playing football or college football. And so Dustin stayed at my house for like 6 months, and me and Steve Kern it was Steve Kern, one of the two. But anyway, we was training him, and basically I was telling him everything. At night, we'd stay up late and shit. And my wife would be like, why is he's on the couch again? But yeah, Dustin and me got along great. I liked him. He was super nice. And I ended up, it was me and Steve Kern. We trained him in Florida, and he got out. He got a little 2-year push with Vince, and I didn't like the gimmick Vince gave me, but I was just proud of Dustin to do as good as he did, because his dad was super nice to me too. He gave me a hell of a push in Atlanta, in Florida, both places. I mean, but the one in Florida, I did get a little pissed when he called me the Bubblegum Kid for a while. He did that because I was getting cocky. But yeah, when I was dressing up, going out throwing bubble gum, Buzz was even laughing at me. But that was good times, you know what I'm saying? And
Yes, sir.
Dusty, man, what a smart booker. Him and Ole, I think, was the two smartest. Those two argued a lot, sort of, but they were both great bookers. I never argued with them, and I never asked them for nothing. They just pushed me because they seen the desire. And if you don't have a desire, you got problems. Big time. And that's how you can tell. I train so many people, it's crazy. You know when somebody's going to make it, because if they stick in with you 3 weeks and then got you paid off, because the thing about training somebody in pro wrestling, a lot of schools got a problem with this, and I'll tell you right now, you got to train them and teach them. If you don't, they're going to, but say you train them and teach them everything you ever learned. Well, I tell you, if you didn't get paid, they're going to screw you, because if they ain't got to pay, say you work with them the whole time, they don't pay you. Well, you taught them everything you know. You can't cut their head open and get it back. It ain't like you can repo a car. You know what I'm saying? But most people don't got that problem. But it happens a lot more than it should. When you train a person, you train them slow, and you make sure you get paid before it's over with, because they don't, And you got to get them booked. You got to do a lot of stuff, and they don't realize what kind of work's behind all that. You ask Tom Pritchard how easy it is. It's not easy. No, not at all. Especially when people start taking bumps, they don't realize how rough it really is, you know. And when they drop out, you ain't got a problem with it because you wouldn't have got paid anyway. You know what I'm saying? If you don't set a payment up, if you set a payment up, you're good. But if you don't, you're going to lose big time. Nothing you can do about it. But you just got to move on. But I've only had that problem a few times. And once I had it, I got a little stricter. I can tell you that. Mm-hmm. But you got to be. If people love it, they don't care. They're going to pay you. And that's what I'll train them for a week free. You know what I mean? Anytime for a week. Yeah. You come 7 days, I'll be there 7 days. If that shows you somebody that wants it, and that way you see, do they really want it? When guys don't take an offer like that, there's a problem in there. They don't want it. I trained guys so much in Florida, it was crazy. I mean, I had guys helping me. I mean, it was we had so many guys. Yeah, it was good. But you know what? You love something, you do it your whole life. You know, I got a little sidetracked here the last couple of years of my life, but things have changed.
Absolutely.
I came back to pro. Go ahead. I came back to pro wrestling to make money. You know what I'm saying? Not to walk around and sign autographs all day. So, you know, that's all going to change too, believe me.
A fan on Facebook talked about your very successful run as Pacific Northwest tag team champs multiple times, and asked multiple times. Asked specifically against you know, some of the guys that you worked against,
top stars. Yeah, you know what? We worked with everybody. I never complained. That's a problem you got nowadays, guys. Oh, let me work with this guy. Let me work. No, you work whoever tells you what. The booker tells you what to do. Do it. That's doing your job. You can't. Your job ain't sit there and argue with them. You know what I mean? But so ask me that question one more time.
Well, the fan wanted to know about your memories of working with Matt Bourne, who was recently the subject of a Dark Side of the Ring.
Bourne, I went out with him. I ain't gonna lie, I was drinking today, you know, but I ain't had a drink in 38, 39 years. But I can tell you that Matt Bourne and me, when we went out and we started drinking, we usually got in a fight, me and him. So when he went out without me, he got in a fight too. So, and Buzz broke us up one night, and we got in 2 different fights when Buzz was around. He said, I ain't taking you guys nowhere. But, hey, we all go out and you live and learn. You know what I'm saying? And I got in fights with Bourne. He got in fights with people. Neither one of us should have been drinking alcohol, I can tell you that. And probably a little more than alcohol back then. Probably a couple lines of cocaine, a couple Placidills.
Did you happen to catch the Dark Side? Did you catch the Dark Side of the Ring?
No, I've never watched the Dark Side. Is that about Ric Flair? That's what I heard.
Well, they profile a lot of stories in wrestling history, and this season they did a whole hour on Matt Bourne, and it was there wasn't a lot.
He had some problems.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that, but we both did cocaine, and back in the 80s, that's what it was all about. I mean, 80% of the guys did drugs. I'll tell you that. There's only about 10-15% that I can tell you that didn't do drugs or drink. I mean, I hate to see guys do interviews and they don't ever say, oh, I did drugs, when they did. I mean, I see it all the time. I'd hate to tell you, and I wouldn't, but I wouldn't tell you anyway. But I'm just saying, I always throw myself in there just because people are like, oh, bro, you talk about that guy that was doing. I said I was doing coke too. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was 40, 50 years ago. I mean, shit. That's just shit just happened then, It ain't like there's a lot of athletes that don't do drugs, and there's a lot that do. I mean, nowadays, that's the last thing I want to think of. But back in the day, yeah, that was a different story. I hate lying. You can't lie to your fans, period.
Absolutely not. Kenneth Shelton wants to know if you have any Skandar Agbar stories.
No, I didn't know him real good either. There's ain't too many guys I didn't know back in the day. I was with the NWA most of my life, and when I for a while I took a little time off, after my brother died, and went to Puerto Rico a little more and Japan a couple times, and that was hard times. But then I made a little comeback. I married my wife, and then she died of cancer. It's crazy. Crazy life.
A fan by the name of Freak Daddy 5150 is asking about an interview that he heard with Matt Bourne. Buzz and Road Warrior Animal got into a fight. Is that true?
Yeah, Buzz got. Hello.
Hi there.
Hello.
Still here, yes, sir.
Oh, where's that picture? I can't see.
I'm still here.
Hold on. Okay. I reckon. Hold on. Shit. What happened here?
Still here.
Hello?
Sir. Hi,
okay, hold on. Let me try to fix this.
I can still see you.
What the hell?
I'm still here.
Bible came up or something. Well, I'm shit. How do I get this back on? I reckon I'll just talk to you. Maybe I can get some.
You're frozen, but you should unfreeze.
Okay.
Can you still hear me now?
Huh?
You could still hear me though, correct?
Huh? Yeah, I can hear you. Sure.
Okay, well, well, hopefully you'll unfreeze again.
Oh, here we go. Cool.
Here you go. You're back. Hey, these things happen. You were talking. These things happen. You were talking.
Oh yeah, because the guy called me yesterday. We didn't even get to hook up, and I felt sorry for him. And I called back this morning. I was like, "You want to do that interview today?" I got one to do anyway. And he's like, "Well, I'll call you," but he never called me. So I was like, "Okay, he must not want to do it."
Technology is a blessing and a curse. We're talking about
exactly.
your recollection of the fight between Buzz and Road Warrior Animal.
Oh man, I tell you, I loved having to deal with those guys because we had a good time. I mean, Buzz got to turn baby face. Just think of what we got out of this. And I did an hour interview with Tommy we was in West Virginia up in Logan on the 30th or the 23rd, a couple of days ago back. And I seen Tommy Rich up there. And then I seen 2 weeks before that. And then Tony Atlas, he came and got my Suburban. And then me and Tommy Rich, well, he followed me again. And then I had my Moose. And we had a good old time.
Good stuff.
There.
Yeah, still here.
This thing keeps going off on me. Go ahead. So what now?
Okay. Just your recollection of the fight between Buzz and Road Warrior Animal.
Oh, well, they got in a fight 3 or 4 times, but that one there, I wouldn't have called that a fight. We broke it up, and that's because he broke my wrist, and they never apologized for it, and it pissed Buzz off. And then he was saying that I was a crybaby. I mean, we always got along, but we had a few arguments. I mean, I can't sit here and lie about it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Did you hold?
I mean, they got we worked an angle for that long. I mean, you got to get along with each other. And I hear all kinds of stories. I'll be honest with you. I can see why you didn't really think it was real. But those guys got in a fight probably 10 times in a couple years. Because the Road Warriors were a lot like Buzz, but just a little humbler. I mean, they were crazy. I mean, but all 3 of them were great workers. You couldn't have got something better. I mean, they looked awesome. They had a great physique. and they was willing to train as much as they had to. And they was there waiting on you, so you knew they was anxious to get training. And when Ole came into TV and told us we're going to train him, everybody's talking about it because he let him work a few times. You see when they got in Atlanta TV, it's green as cucumber. And Buzz worked with him a lot. I did. I mean, and then we worked that angle together. Then Buzz went with Tommy Rich for a couple years, and I went as Brett Wayne Sawyer. And, then we kept tagging up, and this phone's driving me crazy. I gotta hit the code. Okay,
I still hear you. Now you're back. CJ Marshall wants to know what brought you back to Georgia to work for Ole in March '85. What was it like when Crockett bought territory, causing you and Buzz to leave?
Well, it was different. I can tell you that. I didn't know Crockett too good, and that's the first time I ever worked for him. And David Crockett, he was their son, and he helped me out. And, they did me okay. I mean, I can't complain. Crockett was opening up his arms and wings and everything. His brothers and them were cool. It was sort of like a family all together. It was a nice little promotion they was running. They was doing it on TV because if you don't spend time taping your wrestling shows and stuff on TV, you're never going to make money because that's where the money is. That's Ted Turner. When I worked for him in the NWA, boy, he spent some money. Yeah, he spent a lot of money. Yeah, and you got to because you got all this talent, and think about it. Tommy Rich, you had everybody I can think of, because Buzz and I never got to go to WWF because Buzz done burned a bridge for me about shoving Vince and beating. They got into it, so yeah, I didn't think I'd even go that route. I really didn't need it, but back then it was 40 territories. Now I can think of 4, 5 maybe, but 40 territories, you didn't have to kiss too much ass.
Because you could go someplace else. What were the circumstances behind the fight Buzz had with Vince McMahon, and what was the end result of that?
Oh, it was money, and Buzz. They got into it, and that was just. I know that wasn't a smart idea to do, but that's just the type of guy Buzz is. If he loved you, he loved you, and if he didn't, well, that's up to you and him. And Buzz had his own ways, and he told me, he said, Brett, he goes, when they want you to stay 2 weeks, you're gonna do jobs. And he goes, if you can make money, do it. If you can't, get the hell out. Go to the next territory. He goes, and I always could ask him, and a couple times I did. Hey, I need some bookings, and he hooked me up, no doubt. He helped me a lot. Yeah.
Did Buzz do serious damage to Vince Jr., or was it just a punch and? Yeah,
it was a punch and a shove. Yeah, it took a few people to pull them all apart, but it was funny. I didn't plan on going there anyway, to be honest with you. I thought about it, then I thought, nah, I've heard so much crazy stuff. I don't even want to bring it up. It's disgusting to hear that shit. That's not me. That's what you got to get along with everybody. When you get in there, like I see these young kids now, I'll tell you, I went to a wrestling show, and the promoter is the greatest in the world. I just signed autographs, but I watched these guys in front of a crowd going over baby face and heel shit I'd never seen in my life. And I thought, what the? I couldn't believe, it was crazy. You got 200 people sitting around in there and you're going over matches. What happened to kayfabe? Yeah, that's crazy. Come on in.
Long gone. A fan by the name of Griswold wants to know if you ever worked with Marty Jannetty.
Hi, I'm on Hamilton. Yeah, go ahead.
A fan named Griswold wants to know if you ever worked with Marty Jannetty.
Martin. Janetti. Yes, I did. Great guy.
In a tag team
Great guy.
situation?
Huh?
In a tag team situation, or what was the
Yeah,
context?
we did a tag team with him and his partner. Me and Buzz like tagging with some of the guys. We like guys from we didn't judge guys. That's a problem nowadays. All these guys trying to judge everybody. Back in my era, I've been around for a while, and I can tell you, you try to get along with everybody, because the more you get along with people, more jobs, the more bookings, the more signing autographs, the more you got to travel. I travel my ass off, because if you don't travel, you don't make no money, period. And that's what money's everything. What are you going to wrestle for? Because I can tell you, when you get my age, shit, you probably want to retire. But I gotta keep moving, and I figure I'll live to 85 or 90, and then I'll be okay. My whole
Good man.
family's dead, and my whole family's dead, and I tell you, I ain't gonna die early. I ain't
Good
happening.
man.
What's that?
A fan
I'm
wants
sorry,
to
I can't
know.
hear.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah, barely, but yeah.
A fan wants to know about Jake Roberts. Did you get along with him, and any memories of Magnum TA?
Okay, I got a story about Magnum TA, but my memories with Jake. Me and Jake, we made some good money together, and he was a baby. He was a heel. I was the baby face. We'd go on Atlanta TV, and I'd drop a title to him every once in a while. And I'd get one from back then, guys, we gave that belt to each other 3 or 4 times. DiBiase dropped the belt to me. They all did, and then I dropped the belt to them. That's the way you do it. Nowadays it's totally different, but in the early '80s, that's how it worked. And '90s, we took care of each other, and it was sort of a brotherhood, like Tommy Rich was saying on that interview we did. We like brothers, and we was, because shit, they traveled. We'd work 10 days a week. On Sundays, have a double shot, and Tuesdays TV and a shot after TV. It was crazy. It was making real good money, and we were selling places out, so you couldn't go farther. So anyway, so what else going on? I can't hear.
Can you hear me now? A fan wants to know your thoughts on Bobby Heenan.
Great guy. Hey, man, he knew how to make money. He knew how to make money. Shit, something popped up. Hold on a second. Okay, go ahead. But great guy. Great guy. Good businessman. He knew his shit.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Another fan seemed to have lost Buzz. We'll give it a second and see if he comes back. Stay tuned, fans. I might take this opportunity now to plug the huge Great North Wrestling event upcoming July the 15th in Smith Falls, Ontario, the Smith Falls Showdown, headlined by a wrestling appearance of the British Bulldog Jr., Harry Smith, the Blood Hunter, ECW original Nunzio, and Magnum McLaren, amongst many, many others. Women's action as well. Tickets can be purchased at the Smith Falls Memorial Center box office or ticketweb.ca. You're going to want to get those tickets, because we have a lot of action planned, jam-packed, and we're going to have some major match announcements in the coming weeks. We're getting close. We're almost at the 2-week mark, and things are getting really, really exciting. So once again, don't miss the Smith Falls Showdown at the Smith Falls Memorial Center, July the 15th. Tickets at ticketweb.ca. And hopefully Buzz will be back. If not, we'll have to have him back. I want to ask that question about his experience in Georgia Championship Wrestling, his high-profile encounters with Ric Flair, as well as who pulled the most ribs backstage. That's always a great question. if he doesn't come back in a minute or so, fans will reschedule this again. We had Brett on back in the fall. We'll have him on again for sure, because we're just starting to cut to the chase of some very interesting questions, and I appreciate everyone tuning in. I think just going to make one query here, but I think Buzz, or I keep calling him Buzz, sorry, Brett's phone must have conked out. So stay tuned, fans. I will reschedule this interview. Watch the Hannibal TV for, I might have waited long enough. I'm seeing him coming up, sort of. Okay, we're going to try again, because he's trying to get in again. He may have some technical issues. This is the problem with StreamYard. Unfortunately, we're at the mercy of technology sometimes. But we had some good questions for 30 minutes plus already. Okay, well, like I said, fans, he may have a technical issue that is a little more difficult than I thought. Stay tuned. Coming up after 8:00 in an interview I'm very, very excited to be a part of, due to the fact that I am a big Stampede Wrestling fan from back in the day. Robbie Stewart, aka Chick Cullen, from the Stampede Golden Era in the 80s, will be here. We'll be taking some questions and doing a deep dive into his career retrospective. That'll be live, so stay tuned for that. And I will reschedule part 2 of this fan Q&A with, I almost called him Buzz again, but Brett Wayne Sawyer. I appreciate your tuning in, and we will talk to you shortly.
Thank you for watching the Hannibal TV. Please like this video if you enjoyed it, and click the subscribe button to not miss any of our latest shoot interviews, match videos, or news updates. Follow us on Twitter at the Hannibal TV for instant